Gospel of the Pantheon by Eric Strauss, Chapter 1, Verse 2. This accounts for 27 of the 28 mortal persons at the villa that day and brings us to our destination. In the easternmost room, at the back of the villa of the gods, sat Campago Relighetti, the 28th mortal in attendance that day. He was sitting by himself at a very well-stocked bar. Campago worked as the groundskeeper for the Duke of New Hampshire, and he didn't get out much. He had never seen, let alone drank, anything but beer, wine, rum, and water. So this bar at the villa very much astounded him. The number of different bottles and fluids and fruits, it was too much. He could not possibly choose one, so he just mixed as many as he could in one glass, atop some ice. But then he felt a bit of chooser's remorse, and he decided to make a second drink, using some of the intriguing-looking bottles that hadn't made it into the first drink. Then he made a third, and then he started getting nervous and decided he'd better stop playing around. So he lined up the beverages in front of him, on the bar, and peered carefully at each. Campago rarely had occasion to drink from a cup made of glass, and he appreciated the opportunity to look at the insides of his beverages. "It appears you've anticipated our arrival, sir," said Pre-Creator. This so thoroughly startled Relighetti that, had he been holding a drink in his hand, he surely would have flung all of its contents upon the god. Fortunately, he had been too busy watching his drinks to drink them. Pre-Creator grabbed one of the mixtures and sat beside the mortal. Accutron followed immediately thereafter, and he reached over Campago and got the second drink from the bar, then took the seat to the right of Pre-Creator. He leaned forward a bit, so he could see past Pre-Creator, and then Accutron stared at Relighetti for a full 3 seconds. "Who are you?" he finally asked the mortal. Accutron's voice was large and deep, and it had a tendency to make mortals snap to, but Campago was reeling a bit still from the abrupt arrival of the gods, so it took him a couple of seconds to process the question. I am Campago Relighetti. Who are you?" "Accutron. Pleased to meet you, Campago." Accutron offered his hand across the bar. Relighetti shook it, and thought it was surely the largest and heaviest hand he had ever shaken. "And I'm Pre-Creator, Campago," said the first god. "Welcome to the villa." Relighetti wasn't quite sure how to respond to this, so he said nothing. It did not appear that he was in any sort of trouble, but best not to take any chances. "So, may I ask, which of us are you here to see?" said Pre-Creator mildly. At this point, Campago reached for the one drink still sitting in front of him to give himself time to consider the question. He took a healthy slug from it, and the beverage commanded his immediate attention. He wasn't sure he liked it, but it certainly was strong. Relighetti was still blinking the tears from his eyes when Pre-Creator, tired of waiting for an answer, said, "So are you here to see me, or are you here to see Accutron?" I'm sorry, but I'm not here to see either of you." Pre-Creator looked at Accutron, who shrugged a bit and picked up his drink. Pre-Creator turned back to Campago. "That's very unlikely, you know. What of the 3 drinks? You were clearly waiting for somebody." It was then that Accutron began to pound the bar angrily. When at last the god had all of the liquid in his mouth swallowed, he bellowed at Campago. "In the name of all the lords of the Pantheon, man, what in the world is this nightmare concoction?" "Well, Campago started to answer, but was cut off by Pre-Creator, who apparently took no notice of Accutron's antics. "Campago, what of the 3 drinks? You were waiting for somebody, yes?" "Well, Campago started to get nervous, but he was cut off by Accutron. "I mean, seriously, man, are you trying to kill me?" "Well, This time no one interrupted, but Campago had forgotten what he wanted to say. "Let's get this drinks issue resolved now, shall we?" suggested Pre-Creator. "You had 3 drinks, and you are but one person. Thoughts?" "Well, you see, am still, most impressed by this room, and the many different liquids available, and I must admit, I went behind the bar to look more closely, and, well, after I had one drink, I wanted to make another, and I had hardly used any of the choices, see, in the first, so I made a second and then a third, and so the point of it is, all the drinks are for me? This garnered no immediate response, and Campago feared that he had given the wrong impression. I mean, of course, they're your drinks now. I'm not saying I want them back. I'm just saying that I didn't make them for you. Which isn't to say I wouldn't have had I known you were coming, because I definitely would have. At this, Relegate shut his mouth. When open, he decided it just seemed to get him into more trouble. Well, there's no way I'm drinking this, regardless of who it is for, said Accutron. And with that, Accutron rose to make himself a different drink. But Pre-Creator stopped him. I think perhaps we ought to drink our drinks, Lord Accutron, as they were clearly meant for us, and one ought to do that which he is meant for. Eh? Well, considered Accutron, I suppose you have a point there. And he sat back down. Campago decided not to point out the fact that the drinks, as he had just explained, were not meant for the two gods. Instead, he quietly took another gulp of his own beverage, grimaced, and felt relieved that at least one matter had been settled to the god's satisfaction. But we still, continued Pre-Creator, have not determined which one of us you came to see, or how it is you ended up in this room where we take our drinks, instead of at any of a number of more obvious places in the house. You must have passed 4 bars on your way in here. There are 2 in the foyer alone. That you found your way here, ignoring much lower-hanging fruit, is proof that you came here to see one of us. Well, Pre-Creator, sir, you see, I came back here because I was hoping to avoid running into any of you gods. And this place seemed kind of tucked away in the back corner, so... Avoid running into the gods? Demanded Accutron. In the villa of the gods! Well, why in the world did you come here, then? This flustered Campago terribly, and he tripped all over himself trying to answer High Lord Accutron's question. Well, they say, sir, that the villa, if you see it, you should go inside, because they say if you can get in, you can drink and feast all you want, and nothing, and cost anything. It's all free, and there are many beautiful things to see, and other pleasures like a great pool made of solid gold and filled with wine, and there are mermaids swimming in the wine, and you go swimming with them. Nonsense, declared Accutron. No, I swear, that's what they say. And, well, they should say such things, Campago interrupted Pre-Creator, because except for the stuff about the golden pool, mermaids swimming in wine, it's all true. For as long as you are here, eat and drink all you like, make yourself at home. There's a kitchen behind the wall, behind the bar. The panel there in the middle swivels. All you need to do is give it a little push, go in the kitchen. Pre-Creator paused a moment and tapped a little rhythm out on the bar as though it might give him some answers. He finished, paused, considered, and then spoke again. Regardless, Accutron is right. It is absolutely nonsense that the reason you came here was to eat and drink. Nevertheless, I think we can conclude that you do indeed believe that to be the reason you entered, and that therefore you are unlikely to provide any useful information about the subject. The two gods then fell into a moody silence and sipped their drink. Every drop appeared to pain Accutron, but Pre-Creator consumed his impassively. After a minute or two of this, Campago mustered enough courage to ask a question. They say that wherever you enter the villa, even if it moves after you go in, is where you find yourself when you leave. Is it true? I mean, probably we've not gone anywhere since I entered not more than an hour ago, but... Where did you enter? Asked Accutron. New Hamptonshire, the northern part of the Duke's estate. I work there. I'm one of the groundkeepers for the Dukes. The two gods exchanged a look. Accutron said, I hadn't realized we had stopped there. But no, we've moved since you entered. We're in the New World now, in the middle of a desert. And yes, it's true, when you exit, you will exit back to New Hamptonshire, added Pre-Creator. But Relegate had forgotten all about his worries upon hearing where they had relocated. A desert? I've heard the stories from the adventurers who traveled to Africa and met men with skin as dark as coal. And they told of the desert. They said it's a land made of nothing but sand, as far as the eye can see in every direction. Indeed, a desert, said Procurator. Well, this isn't really that kind of desert, said Accutron. You're just confusing the boy, chastised Procurator. May I see it? Asked Kimpago. You will see it, sighed Procurator. Now finish your drink, then go to the kitchen, eat whatever you like, until you are full. You'll have to prepare it yourself, but if you don't know how to cook, and I think it very unlikely that you do, then just stick with cold meats and cheeses. Kimpago, noting that both of the gods had finished their drinks, downed the rest of his glass in 2 big gulps. The drink nearly came right back up, but Relegati sat very still, and eventually the nausea passed. As he rose to go to the kitchen, a thought occurred to him. Haven't you any servants, or maids, or cooks, or people or whatever? Kimpago, who had worked for the Duke of New Hamptonshire, had seen the ruler's opulent lifestyle up close, and he knew that it was very labor-intensive. But so far he had seen no staff at all in the Villa of the Gods. Accutron snorted. The last thing we need around here is a bunch of fawning mortals scurrying about and taking up space. The house, added Procurator, attends to custodial matters, and to the stocking of the bars and larders on its own, when we're not looking. And as for food preparation and making drinks and such, we seem to manage fine on our own. Now, go you to the kitchen. We are expecting 2 more, and when we are all here, we will go look at the desert. Thus concludes Chapter 1, Verse 2 of Gospel of the Pantheon by Eric Strauss.